Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com, the first of two podcasts for this weekend because there are so many stakes races. This first one, going to take a look at the 4 races on the big cap card at Santa Anita, and then we'll have a second podcast, which will look at races at Gulfstream, Oaklawn, and Tampa Bay. Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's director of simulcasting, Jim Goodman. Any success stories from last week?
I think we had a couple of winners, but no huge prices, I don't think.
Spot. I had Spot that I liked for Zito.
Yeah,
paid about
Spot,
$20.
That's right. That beat the odds-on favorite. Yeah, so it's a $20 horse.
The other two that I really like both ran second, Uncle Si and Artemis. So I think
Uncle
we had Exactus.
Race, so
what a great race.
Those 3 horses coming out of that race impressed me a great deal. I mean, nobody quit, and Uncle Si was in tight. I think he's got a great future.
Yeah, he had, I thought, the worst of it being in between those two, and in trouble should certainly improve off. That was his first time going 2 turns. Well, let's get to the Santa Anita card. We'll start off with a Kentucky Derby prep, and that's the San Felipe. And just a reminder, if you are following the Keeneland accounts on Twitter, Katie Gensler and I are doing video analysis of the Derby preps each weekend, so you can get those via Twitter. But let's go to the 5th race on the Santa Anita card. It's the Grade 2 San Felipe for 3-year-olds at a mile and a 16th. A couple of Bafferts in here that look pretty strong. Who did you go with?
One of the Bafferts. I flipped a coin basically. I think it's 1-2, and Bayern and Midnight Hawk both look great. I kind of lean toward Midnight Hawk because of running behind Candy Boy last time out. Candy Boy was very impressive. And Midnight Hawk got beat by a little less than 2 lengths in the R.B. Lewis, and he's got room to improve. Bayern just has not raced against anybody. He won by 15 lengths last time out, went off at 3-5, and ran a mile in 1:35.3, so you don't know how good he is. I think Midnight Hawk has had better competition so far coming out of the Sham and the R.B. Lewis. So I'm going to take Midnight Hawk on top, so that would be 9 on top of a 6 with maybe even all. I like Cristo a little bit. The 7 horse could improve second off layoff. It's a tough race to fashion any betting strategy, so either 6 with 9 with all, or maybe 6 with 3, 4, 7, 9 with all in a trifecta.
Bayern's kind of since we're up on March Madness time, Bayern is kind of Wichita State, undefeated against a soft schedule.
Yeah.
Midnight Hawks coming out of a tougher league. So I ended up going with Bayern. 2 turns, stretching out from a mile. I guess he's been 2 turns, but stretching out to a mile and 16th. But he's out of a Thunder Gulch mare, so that shouldn't be a problem. And I just love the way this horse, the ease with which he won his 2 races. I think that the play would be the 2 Bafferts for me over some prices in the 2 holes. So you'd key Bayern and Midnight Hawk over however many long shots you'd want to use. But I've got to pick somebody for the purposes of this podcast. So it's going to be Bayern, and then a couple of price horses that I like underneath, both trained by David Hoffman, who I think is kind of an underrated trainer, so you might get even a little better price. The 1 Home Run Kit and the 8 School of Hard Rocks. Both have shown some potential and could still have a good bit of upside left. So I'd try those 2. So the 6 over the 1 and the 8, or you could go 6 and 9 over the 1 and the 8 if you wanted to expand your bankroll a little bit. 7th race is the Grade 2 San Carlos at 7 furlongs for 4-year-olds and up. And I started to go with one of the horses from Hollendorfer or Baffert, and then I kept coming back to Ready for More. Mike Mitchell's very good when he gets new acquisitions to his barn, and this horse ran about the same kind of buyer number in his first start for Mitchell that he had run the previous one, but if he improves in his second start for Mitchell, then he could be in this at a nice price. He's had 3 good works since Mitchell has had him. This is that last race, and his horse is 11 of 14 in the money on the dirt, so I think there's a little value for the 7 Ready for More. I'll pick him, and then I'll key him in exactas with the 6 Wild Dude, who I was leaning to, and then the 10 Shaking It Up, who's been very impressive lately for Baffert. What about you?
I went with a horse that actually beat your horse a couple races back, Cyclometer. Cyclometer for Bruce Headley and Joe Talamo. Last race, I think you can toss in the Cal Cup Sprint. Got off to a really bad start and just never got into the race. And I don't like going for Mike Smith, Joe Talamo, but Talamo's been riding really well out there. So I'm going to take Cyclometer on top, and then I'm going to use your horse below, Ready for More. And I'm going to, Shaking It Up is hung outside, and the 106, 101 buyer looked awfully great. Mike Smith sticks with this horse. But the 10-hole and 7 furlongs doesn't look great at Santa Anita, and he's never been drawn outside. The last 5 or 6 times he's been inside and gotten great trips. I don't think he'll get that this time. Sahara Sky won this race last year. Wild Dude, I can make a case for. But I'm going to box Cyclometer with probably shaking it up in Midnight Transfer the 9.
Yeah, if Sahara Sky was back to that Met Mile form, I'd take him. But that first start this year, I didn't really care for much. The 8th race is the Grade 1 Frank Kilroe Mile at a mile on the turf. And really nice group of horses here. Where did you go?
Well, I could make cases for a lot of these.
Yeah.
One of my guys here at the simulcast facility has been waiting for Lochte to run back off that race at Gulfstream. And my problem there is I missed him at 39 to 1. I don't know if I want to take him at a much shorter price here. This is a really tough field, but they got to like him because they scratched him out of a race last weekend at Gulfstream and shipped him out to Santa Anita. So off the last race, you've got to consider him. You've got to consider Winning Prize, the 6, off his last in the Grade 2 Arcadia. Regally Ready, the 2, Zaw Approval, 2nd in the Breeders' Cup. Silentio, 3rd in the Breeders' Cup. Great race. I kind of settled on Winning Prize just because that Arcadia was so good, first off a 3-month layoff, and Nakatani's riding well right now. Finished just behind Silentio in the citation back in November. I'm going to take Winning Prize. Kind of a stab here, but that was a great race first time at Santa Anita. If he repeats that, he's tough to handle. On top of Lochte the 1, Regally Ready the 2, Zaw Approval the 5, and Silentio the 9.
Zaw Approval's where I went. Clement's very good off a layoff, and he showed last year that he's very capable of shipping horses out west and winning with them. This horse ran Wise Dan's eyeballs out in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and he's never won a Grade 1, so this looks like a good spot to maybe pick it up. He's won 4 races at a mile, so I like mile specialists and mile races. So Zaw Approval for me on the win, that's the 5, and then I would use him as the key horse in Exactas with the 6 Winning Prize, the 3 Optimizer, who if they'll ever just put him on the grass and kind of leave him there and let him go, I think has a nice future. And then the 2 Regally Ready has gotten good again for Asmussen. So 5 over the 2, 3, 6, and then you can switch the 5 to the 2-hole in Exactas. 9th race is the Big Cap, the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap for 4-year-olds and up, and a 1.25 miles, and a rematch of the Breeders' Cup Classic. Will Take Charge, the 1, Mucho Macho Man, the 2. And on paper, it looks like Will Take Charge off that 111 buyer and could even improve off that. But I'm going to take Mucho Macho Man, the 2. I think Will Take Charge is going to be favored off the 111 buyer, so I think you get a little better price on Mucho Macho Man. Not much, but a little. And Gary Stevens riding. This horse is in the 2-hole. Will Take Charge is in the 1. I think Mucho Macho Man's got a little more tactical speed. And maybe Will Take Charge gets put in the box a little bit. I just like the strategic edge that maybe Stevens might have with Mucho Macho Man. So I'm going to take a shot with him, mainly because the tactics and the fact that he'll be a little better price. Mucho Macho Man, the 2, over the 1 Will Take Charge, and then I'd take maybe an Exacta just as a backup on Mucho Macho Man over Blingo, who is a 4-year-old getting good for John Sheriffs. What about you?
Yeah, the only thing I like about this race, I flipped a coin between Will Take Charge and Mucho Macho Man, but I do like Blingo for 3rd. So I think if you're going to play a superfecta, it might not be a bad thing to key Blingo 3rd and 4th. And
True.
if you can beat Will Take Charge or Mucho Macho Man with somebody else, I don't think that's very likely. I don't think Game On Dude is on his game. I think he may be completely over the top, so I'm going to bet against him. I'm going to take Will Take Charge, and the reason that I take him is not because of the 111 buyer, but because of the tougher race. The last time out, he ran the Don Handicap. No way in the world he was going to beat Lee on that day because it was very speed favoring at Gulfstream, as it has been all winter. Mucho Macho Man, on the other hand, had an easy race at Gulfstream, won by 14 in the Sunshine Millions Classic. It was almost like a paid workout at 1 to 9 or whatever he went off at. So he didn't have that tough race back that Will Take Charge had, and Will Take Charge got beat by a really, really good horse on a track that didn't favor Will Take Charge's closing kick. So I'm going to take Will Take Charge. I think they're both going to be 8 to 5, 9 to 5, something like that. I don't think there's going to be much difference in the price because Mucho Macho Man beat him in the Breeders' Cup. So that I'm just looking forward to the race. I could sit back and watch this race and not bet it at all, just enjoy it, because you don't get many chances for Breeders' Cup rematches, and the best older horse, the best 6-year-old against the 3-year-old, the best 3-year-old last year, and that's now turned 4. So most times those horses don't stay in training that long. So this is something to just look forward to.
Agreed. I'm looking forward to watching this one. Probably will. Actually, I may get back from Florida in time to see this, so live, hopefully so. Should be a great day racing out at Santa Anita. Just a reminder that we're going to do a second In the Money podcast for the other stakes races around the country, some of the other big ones, including a Derby prep down at Tampa Bay Downs. So make sure you check that out as well. For Jim Goodman, it's Tom Leach on the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.